The house used to echo with laughter. Now, it echoed with silence. Emma stood by the window, watching the rain slide down the glass. Her voice trembled. Do you remember when this house was filled with laughter? Now, even our silence feels lonely. David couldn't look at her. His eyes stayed fixed on the floor. Some wounds don't happen in a single day. They grow every time we choose silence instead of the truth. Emma closed her eyes, trying to hold back her tears. I stopped asking if you loved me, because I was afraid your silence would be my answer. David's voice cracked. I never stopped loving you. I just forgot how to show it. Neither of them noticed 10-year-old Ethan standing quietly in the hallway. He heard every word. His little heart broke. He whispered to himself, if they don't love each other anymore, why do they both cry when they're alone? That evening, the dinner table felt colder than winter. Dinner is ready. I'm not hungry. Emma looked at him with tears filling her eyes. You haven't been hungry for months. Not for food. Not for this family. David lowered his head in shame. Maybe. I don't deserve either. Later that night, Ethan sat on his bed holding an old family photograph. Everyone in the picture was smiling. It looked like a completely different family. He hugged the photo tightly, closed his eyes, and whispered, Dear God, I don't need new toys. I don't need a bigger house. I just want my mom and dad to smile at each other again. After midnight, David quietly walked into his study. He unlocked an old wooden drawer. Inside were dozens of unopened letters. Every single one was addressed to Emma. With trembling hands, he picked up the oldest letter. His voice was barely a whisper. Dear Emma, if one day we become strangers, I hope you remember that you were once my entire world. A tear slipped down his face. Outside the room, Ethan had heard everything. His eyes filled with tears. He whispered, Dad still loves Mom. Then why doesn't he tell her? The next morning, before anyone woke up, Ethan quietly opened the drawer once more. He carefully picked up a single letter. Without saying a word, he placed it in the center of the dining table and walked to school. Neither his mother nor his father knew who had left it there, but that one forgotten letter was about to change their lives forever. Sometimes, the words we never have the courage to say become the very words that save a family. Part 2. The letter she was never meant to read.
The morning sunlight filled the kitchen, but the house still felt cold. Emma walked toward the dining table with a cup of coffee in her hands. Then, she noticed an old envelope. Her name was written on it. In David's handwriting, she froze. Her hands began to shake. Slowly, she opened the letter. Dear Emma, if you're reading this, then I waited too long to tell you the truth. A tear fell onto the paper. I know you think I stopped loving you, but the truth is, I never did. Every time I wanted to hold your hand, my pride stopped me. Every time I wanted to say I'm sorry, my fear became louder than my heart. Emma couldn't hold back her tears. She remembered the day they bought their first little house. The day Ethan was born? The promises they had made? She whispered through her tears. Why didn't you tell me? Just then, David walked into the kitchen. He saw the letter in her hands. His face turned pale. Where? Where did you find that? Emma looked at him with tearful eyes. Does it matter? Were you ever going to let me read it? David lowered his head. No, because I thought it was already too late. Silence filled the room once again. Then, a small voice came from behind them. It's never too late. They turned around. Ethan was standing in the doorway with his school backpack. Tears streamed down his cheeks. I found all your letters. I know you still love each other. So, why are you making me grow up in a house without love? Neither parent could speak. Ethan slowly walked toward them. He took his mother's hand. Then, his father's. With all his strength, he placed their hands together. Please, don't make me choose between my mom and my dad. Emma burst into tears. David's lips trembled. For the first time in years, he reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. But before either of them could say a word, David's phone rang. He looked at the screen. and all the color disappeared from his face. Emma noticed. David! Who's calling? He couldn't answer. The phone slipped from his hand and hit the floor. On the screen, one message remained visible. Your medical test results are ready. Please come to the hospital immediately. Everything changed in that moment. Neither Emma nor Ethan knew the truth David had been hiding all along. To be continued. David stood frozen. The phone lay on the floor. The message was still glowing on the screen. Emma looked at him with fear in her eyes. David, tell me what's happening. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Finally, he whispered, I've been hiding something from both of you. The room fell silent. Ethan held his mother's hand tightly. David took a slow, trembling breath. A few months ago, the doctors found something during my checkup. I didn't want either of you to worry. I thought, if I pushed you away first, it would hurt less when I was gone. Emma's tears began to fall. You wanted to protect us, but all you did was make us feel unloved. David closed his eyes. I know, and that's the biggest mistake I've ever made. Ethan ran to his father and hugged him with all his strength. I don't care what the doctor said. I just want my dad back. David dropped to his knees and held his son close. For the first time in years, he cried without hiding his tears. Emma slowly walked toward them. She knelt beside David. Gently, she placed her hand on his face. Look at me. He raised his eyes. If life gives us one day, we'll spend it together. If it gives us 100 years, we'll spend those together too. But promise me, never hide your pain from me again. David nodded through his tears. I promise. That afternoon, the three of them went to the hospital together. Hours later, the doctor walked into the room with a warm smile. Mr. Carter, your results are good. The earlier scan was incorrect. You don't have the serious illness we feared. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Emma laughed through her tears. Ethan jumped into his father's arms. David covered his face and cried with relief. When they arrived home that evening, David opened the old wooden drawer one last time. He took out every unsent letter. Instead of hiding them again, he placed them in Emma's hands. She smiled. You don't have to write these anymore. From now on, just say the words to me. David gently took her hand. Emma, I love you. She smiled through her tears. I never stopped loving you either. Ethan wrapped his arms around both of them. The house that had once been filled with silence was finally filled with laughter again. Sometimes, the strongest families aren't the ones that never fall apart. They're the ones who find the courage to choose each other again. The end.